All right, let's go ahead and talk about spheres. We're finding surface area and volumes of spheres. Surface area, the formula is 4 pi r squared. Very easy. All you need for these type of problems is the radius. You don't need anything else. You don't need the height. That's a good part of these spheres. Here, example 1, they want us to find the surface area in terms of pi. Whenever you see that reference, I think a lot of you don't catch that, is you have to have your answer in pi before you multiply the pi out. Here we have this. We have a radius of 5 inches here. We're going to go ahead and solve for the surface area. So surface area equals 4 times pi times radius squared, which is 5. Keep on simplifying step by step. 4 times pi times 25. And now we multiply 25 times 4. It's 100 pi. And that's your answer there. So your answer for the surface area here, in terms of pi, is 100 pi. We're now multiplying the pi out. So here, very simple, 100 pi. Next one, surface area. We have to find out this shape here. In terms of pi again, the radius is 8. So we just go ahead and plug it in. So 4 times pi times 8 squared. 4 times pi, 8 squared is 16. Oh, sorry, 64. And then 64 times 4 is 256. And then don't forget the pi. They want it in terms of pi. That would be your surface area. Very simple. Again, you only need the radius. Volume, same thing. It's 4/3 times pi times radius cubed. So now they have the cubed here. Example 2, they want us to find the volume to the nearest hundredths. That means you have to solve out the pi. So in terms of pi, nearest hundredths, two different things. Here, we're going to go step by step. We know the radius. We have the radius here as being 13 feet. So it's going to be 4/3 times pi times 13 cubed. We go ahead and do 13 cubed. That is, let me pull this down, 2,197. Next in, 4/3 times 2,197. You could just multiply it all together. Let's say it doesn't matter. I multiplied the 4/3 times 297. I got about 2,929.33 pi. And you multiply it out, you get 9,202.77. They want you to round to the hundreds. So you multiply it step by step or just multiply everything all together. You'll end up with this answer here. Again, no measurements. And please don't put the arrow too, it just messes everything up. B, again, nearest hundredths. We go ahead and solve for it. So the radius here is 16. We go step by step. 4/3 times pi times 16 cubed. We go ahead and simplify the exponent. The exponent will be 4,096. I multiply the two numbers, a fraction and a number. I get 5,461.33 pi. Or this will give you 5,461 and 1/3, but just decimal is easier. And then multiply the pi out in the very end, you get 17,157.28. Don't put cubed. For volume, it's always cubic, so it's the arrow 3, but don't put it for any of these answers. So then, these are very simple. Find the surface area, volume. Here is where it gets a little bit complicated. It's called a hemisphere. That means cutting, let's say a basketball or just any type of ball, you cut it in half. When you cut it in half, I wish I had the foamy thing. I do. Nah, forget about it. So when you cut a ball in half, you're left with just the outside part, but you're also left with that circle part of what you cut. So let's say I cut it in half and I showed you it. I still have the radius, I still have that circle part. It's this whole part right here. And we have to include that whenever we're finding surface area. Surface area, you're covering something up. Volume is you're filling something up. So here, example 3, it says find the surface area and volume of a hemisphere with a 12 centimeter diameter. It's a hemisphere. So let's say I have this ball, I cut it in half. When I cut it in half, I have still that circle outside portion of it. I have to include that when I'm finding my surface area. And this is what I mean. So for the surface area and volume, all you're doing is you're finding it and you're dividing by 2. So let's say for the surface area here, surface area formula is 4 pi radius squared. The radius is not 12, the radius is 6. Again, half a diameter. Don't just use any number they give you. Read the question before you do it. Now, it's 4 times pi times radius squared, which is 6 squared. And they want you to solve it all the way out and round to the nearest hundredths. So 6 squared is 36. 4 times pi times 36. 36 times 4. I got 144 pi, which is equal to about 452.39. It's a hemisphere. That means we cut that in half. When you cut it in half, you end up with 226.19. And that's your surface area. Here is asking actually for the total area. So to find the total area of the square, we have to continue and find that first portion. So surface area, we found the outside of the hemisphere, or the sphere itself, found the top part. But now we have to find that inner circle part. When you bring it up, it's that exact circle part there. We have to find the area of just that flat one there. And to find the area, it's area of circle, which is pi r squared. So here the radius is 6. It's going to be 36 pi, which is then simplified to 113.1. So to find it, we have to add the 2, 113.1 plus the 226.19, and you end up with about 339.29. That's a total area. Again, you're figuring out the outside of it. So if you don't know, just grab I'll just say grab a foam ball from the dollar store, cut it exactly in half, and you'll still have the imprint of the circle when you cut it exactly in half. And that's what they mean by the area of that. So it's the area of the covering and the area of that flat part. It only applies for hemisphere. Now we have to find the volume. Volume, good thing is it doesn't matter about that circle at all because you're just trying to fill up half of that sphere. So to find the volume, it's 4/3 times pi times r cubed. 4/3 times pi, radius is 6 cubed. 4/3 times pi times 6 cubed is 216. 216. Multiply it all out, and you end up with about 904.78. So this is me multiplying with the pi there. So you have the volume there, but again, remember it's hemisphere, so you're cutting in half. That means you're cutting the volume in half as well. When you cut the volume in half, you get about 452.39, and that's your two answers. So the surface area is just including that circle part when you cut it in half, dividing by 2 for both the surface area and the volume. So it's just that one extra step of finding that area here, and that's how you would do it. Example 4, this is where it gets a little tricky. Let's say they don't give you the radius. You have to find the radius on your own based on what they give you. They're talking about a basketball right there. They said the basketball, you have to fill it up. Here it says, how many cubic inches of air does it take to inflate a basketball? So you're trying to fill up the basketball with air. That is volume. But according to the volume formula, you need the radius. They told us that the basketball is about 30 inches in circumference. So I wrote down here, C equals 30 centimeters or inches, doesn't matter, 30. We have to use based on what we know to find it, because in the end we have to find the volume. But we don't have radius. Here we have the circumference, which is 30. So I understand that the circumference here is circumference equals 2 times radius times 2 times pi times radius. I can go ahead and fill in what I know. The only thing I know is 30. So 30 is equal to 2 pi times r. If you notice, two of the three factors here are real numbers. 2 is a real number, and 3 is a real number as well. If you multiply both sides by 2 pi, I just multiply it together. So 2 times pi, I get about 6.28 r. So I want as much real numbers as possible. I just want the r by itself. Why? I'm looking for the r for my volume. So I divide both sides by 6.28, and it always depends on how you round. So just round to the hundredths whenever you have decimals. 30 divided by 6.28, my radius is about 4.77. So just based on what we know from the radius, this is what we got for our radius. Now we can go ahead and solve for our equation. So 4/3 times pi times 4.77 cubes. When go ahead and find the cube of that. I got 108.53. You do 4/3 times your number there. I got 144.71 pi. Multiply the pi out, you get 454.61 cubic inches, and that's how much area it can hold. And they actually said it's a standard basketball. I guess that's how much basketballs hold. Step by step, again, if they ask you for the circumference, they say the area is this. You have to go back and use the area formula to find that R to get it by itself. If you have any questions, just make sure you email me down there. Bye-bye.